The mission of the Inattentive ADHD Coalition is to ensure that children with inattentive ADHD are diagnosed by the age of 8 and that adults with inattentive ADHD receive prompt and accurate diagnosis when seeking help. To learn more about our mission and how you can help, visit iadhd.org.
I'm Katherine Ellison. I'm a journalist and author of several books, including the ADHD family memoir, Buzz, A Year of Paying Attention. Jennifer, can you just say what it is that you do?
It's so hard to say. I run a network of comedy videos for parents. I also edit and produce videos for brands.
Are you still doing the Mom Cave?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I didn't say the name of it. You can
I
find it
see.
at momcavetv.com or all the social media places.
When did you get started doing that and how did it come about?
It came about quite a while ago now because my oldest child is 13. When he was a baby, I was working as an actor in New York City. I was home with him, so not working as much. And I started to write about some of the ridiculous things that were happening. I got invited to YouTube Google headquarters, had it read, and then all people were offering to make this series. And then it just snowballed.
What kinds of things do you write about on Mom Cave? What kinds of issues do you deal with?
Right. It changes, of course, as our lives change. I have many contributors to Mom Cave, which is helpful so that we can have people with newborns up to even grown kids out of the house.
Or in the house.
Or in the house, which is also sometimes a problem. I write about the stuff that I find funny and that other moms can relate to. We say sometimes we laugh so we don't have to cry, or we laugh while we cry. We love being moms, but it's the toughest job in the world.
Of course. When did you find out that you have ADHD?
Not very long ago. This is the first time I'm really talking about it at length. It's a little over a year now, maybe. I'm in my mid to late 40s.
What made you want to find out?
I had been searching for answers my whole life of why am I the way I am? I was diagnosed before with depression, which we now realize was probably just the undiagnosed ADHD. I'm tired all the time, constantly, but I can't stop doing things. So I'm doing many things. I've been considered the high achiever, straight A student my whole life. And then I crash. I can't go anymore and I'm exhausted. I constantly have to have something to do and multitask and all this. So they said, okay, you have depression 20 years before and treated that, but still, I don't feel depressed. It's a totally different thing, but the medication helped. Years went on and I started to think it's a sleep problem. Maybe I'm so tired because I'm just never getting enough sleep. My doctor sent me for a sleep study, and the sleep study doctor, who took a long time, he was on the phone with me for over an hour and he listened to my story and he was asking all these questions that didn't seem relevant to sleep. Then he finally said, have you ever considered that you may have ADHD? That was the start of it.
What were things that you said to him that made him think that you had that?
Never being able to relax or turn my brain off, the need to always be doing things. I'm very visually stimulated by things. If I see something, I have to do it. And if I don't do it now, it might not ever happen. And then I get distracted and I go from one thing to the other. I get a lot done. It's just the cost of it. Then describing the depression, going into the feelings of it. I kept saying, it's not so much the sadness, it's that I'm so tired. That was what I thought was depression.
Do you think that the tired comes from needing to do so many more things than a normal person would need to accomplish in a day?
My brain can't shut off. If I sit in a room, I see 20 things that should be done in the room. I can't just watch the TV. You have to juggle all of those things and prioritize. I've always been searching for what is it about me? Why am I like this? Why can't I relax? Why do I need so much more sleep than other people? Why do I just crash? Why am I so tired? All of these things. And years ago, that was diagnosed as depression. But I wasn't sad. I was the happiest I'd ever been in my life, except I couldn't stay awake and I couldn't stop.
Do you remember when you were a child, looking back, were there any symptoms?
From what I've learned about inattentive ADHD, I am like that girl that doesn't get diagnosed because I got straight A's and I was a good girl. I wasn't jumping up and down. I wasn't hyperactive. I did great in school, but at what cost? I was always internally stressed out, though it didn't show. I didn't want to mess up or forget something, so I would work so hard not to. That was part of it. I even remember having that exhaustion as a teenager. I danced ballet all my growing up. Dance class would start minutes after school ended. I have the clearest memories of wanting the dismissal to happen so I could run home and lie down for 30 minutes before I went to ballet. I'm 15 years old. You shouldn't be that tired.
Do you think there was something that your parents or your teachers could have noticed that would have given them a clue?
Maybe it's just the time that we were in, that it was thought of as a boy who was very hyper and not well behaved. I wasn't like that. I think we know more about it now. We know that it can be so internal that it's hard to understand unless you really get inside that person.
It sounds like you've been leading a really wonderful life. Do you think that if you'd have been treated earlier, it would have made a big difference? And what would that difference be, do you think?
It makes me sad to think about. I've heard people mourn that they hadn't found out sooner. A lot of the unhappiness that I've had has been because I feel like I'm falling short. I can't do all the things and I can't stay awake. Well, if I had gotten some therapy or some instruction of ways to cope, I would be a very different person.
Did you get diagnosed by a psychiatrist or how did it come about?
The sleep therapist doctor sent me to a memory facility. I was given the test, a long test. And afterwards, the psychologist explained to me what was going on.
How are you dealing with it now? How are you managing it?
I'm taking medication and it really does help. It helps with the energy. I've prioritized exercising first thing in the morning more than ever, and that definitely helps.
Before, when you were saying that there's things that you mourn about your life, and maybe you got down on yourself too much for not doing enough, is that what you think most could have been avoided had you been caught, detected early?
Yes, I cause a lot of angst from my family as well because of this. And I've been married for this 20 years this year. I feel bad for him. A lot of the things he's put up with, he didn't know what it was. It's just how she is. And he loves me.
That's
and
why he
how
married you, though, right?
or my kids. There are times when the ADHD has affected them, something important that I've forgotten or messed up. I feel badly about that.
A lot of moms have regrets and things that they did wrong. I know that for myself, it was becoming a mom, leaving the single focus of career when I really started feeling like my ADHD that I had to take care of. You have to organize so many things at once.
And it feels like they're all the most important thing.
Yeah.
There was a time when we were applying for a mortgage. You know how much paperwork and getting this and that and having everything at a certain time. We were doing that, but I was also working and I had these little kids and one was a baby. There was something I was supposed to get at the bank and I didn't. The people at the bank acted like I was an idiot, irresponsible. But this is the most important thing. You're applying for a mortgage. I know, but so is the baby. I got to make money to work. They're all the most important thing. That's part of my problem.
That's really what you focus on. I think the other side of that is, do you focus on what you're not doing, or do you focus on all the many things that you are doing right? Especially with an attention glitch. It's great that you've accomplished so much. Do you think you're different? Do you think you're actually better keeping track of things now?
When the internet came to be a part of our daily lives, which was when I was in college, and when the browsers got the tabs, blame the browsers in the tab. When the internet, it would take so long for a page to load. I couldn't wait for that. So I'd open another tab and then I end up having many tabs. I do them all and I get them done. But I'm switching between the tabs. I'm not waiting for anything to load, but I still find myself doing that constantly with the tabs. I'm editing, plus paying a bill, plus looking up something I need to buy on Amazon, plus responding to an email, all at the same time. And that's how I'm used to working, but I'm trying so hard not to.
It's a perfect visual for the ADHD brain, all these different tabs open and all these tasks going on at once. It's perfect. I never
You
thought of it.
forget what's in this one tab over here, accidentally click on it, and then you see it, then you go back to it.
That's great. But I imagine that your ADHD is also the source for your creativity.
It certainly makes me quirkier than I would be otherwise. In some of the jobs that I've done in my life, it's been a good thing. When I've produced video, it's a good thing to be checking in on this, that, and the other thing, always thinking ahead. Okay, the lunch is going to be at this time. We need to start thinking about bringing that in. In that way, it was good.
I feel it makes you more sensitive to things going on. Maybe it was your way to see the humor in mothering. A lot of people are unable to see that.
If I didn't, I would really be in trouble.
People I know with ADHD have some of the best senses of humor around. Maybe it's just a compensating power. Do you think you had a good sense of humor as a child?
That's a good question. No, I don't. I was a very serious child. When I went to college, I went to theater school, and I was going to be a serious actress. It was all about drama. The idea of being funny was something I couldn't do, but it wasn't ladylike. It wasn't as serious. What happened is when I was pregnant with my first child, I started taking an improv class at Upright Citizens Brigade in New York City. It was something I was terrified of. Even though I'd gone to college for acting, I hated improv and I was terrified of it. I liked my script. But I just challenged myself for once in my life. Let's do this thing that you are so afraid of. I loved it. And it turned out that I was good at it. I started booking roles mostly in commercials at that time, but they were really silly, funny roles. That became what I was starting to be known for. And I realized I really like it. And it's very freeing not to be that serious person anymore, to let it all out.
Absolutely. It's a great compensating influence. Have you found other strategies that help you cope with your ADHD besides the medication and the exercise?
I still feel like it's the beginning. I'm just figuring it out. I'm researching nutrition, and so no, I don't have a lot of coping mechanisms. I'm learning about it, honestly.
I got diagnosed at 48, and I think sometimes by that age, we've developed, sometimes without knowing it, lifelong strategies that get us through the day. But for me too, exercise is huge. When you talk about improv, I've tried that also. It could be good for the ADHD brain because sometimes we get uptight. We're afraid of making mistakes, and
Yeah.
that.
You have to be very in the moment in improv. You have to really listen and not let your mind wander off, or you'll get lost. So it helps with being in the moment part that's hard when you have ADHD.
It's relief, right? Rather than guarded so much, you hear something ridiculous. Yeah. Not to glorify ADHD, because I think it is something that can be very hard to manage as a rule. And I'm not somebody who talks about superpowers, but you're more open to other people. I really loved watching the thing you did about empathy for single moms, which gave you a huge boost in publicity, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I had started MomCave, and we had a bunch of different scripted shows. This was before TikTok and Instagram Reels. What was happening on the internet were web series, like television shows, but shorter. My husband is a musician, and he was traveling 80% of the time. I had a 5-year-old and a newborn, and we had just moved to a totally different place. I had a day. I couldn't get out of the car because the newborn had fallen asleep. I did not want to wake her up because this kid to this day still doesn't fall asleep easily. Stuck in my car, and I decided to make a video. I did not look made up or anything. It was the opposite of what I usually do. I just talked to the camera. I was thinking about how sometimes you hear moms complain, like married moms saying, I'm like a single mom, I do it all on my own. I found myself thinking that. I was ashamed of myself because I feel overwhelmed, but I have this person. Tonight we'll talk on the phone and support each other. He's out there making the money for us to live. I have a partner, just not physically here right now. I made this video saying you shouldn't say that you feel like a single mom because they're really kicking butt. Like they're really doing it. I just offered, ask for help. If you're a single mom and you need help, ask for help.
In a way, that was almost your improv, right? You did it very impulsively, it sounds like.
Yeah. It was a little therapeutic for me. But anyway, I put that on the internet that night thinking nothing of it. And that went viral and got millions of views and got media coverage.
That's really cool. Has your husband noticed a big change in you since your diagnosis?
I think he notices that I have more energy than I used to. I used to literally think I would die if I didn't take a nap every day. And how to fit that in. I would structure my day around when can I take a nap? And I didn't take a nap today. I've gone a whole week now sometimes without taking a nap.
Oh, wow.
It almost makes me want to cry.
How many hours do you sleep?
Since I've been on the ADHD meds, I usually sleep about 7 hours a night now. Yeah. So I have more hours in the day, but I still feel like quite a lull when when the Adderall is wearing off. I get the nap feeling that I used to get. But I know now, okay, I'm going to take my second dose. And if I can just ride through this for 45 minutes, it'll be okay.
Did you ever get that sleep study, by the way?
I don't have any sleep problems. It's not that. That's why then I had that long conversation with the sleep specialist, and he was the one who suggested that it could be ADHD.
Cool.
I think it's hard because, Jennifer, you've just known about your ADHD for a year. And a lot of changes are going to happen. It usually takes more than a year to incorporate everything.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if this is something that's interesting to talk about, but it's the idea that so many women, adult women, are now being diagnosed. I'm still having trouble wrapping my mind around that. Even though the Adderall is working, I'm like, is it real? Or is this a trend?
I interviewed 25 women recently. A lot of them figured it out during COVID. They were home without the busy life, without the structure from work. That's how they manage their lives, keeping themselves so busy. But without that, they started to watch TikTok and Instagram, and they self-diagnosed. They're finding out now with adults, it's 1-to-1. Men and women are equal in the diagnosis. But with the children, it used to be 3 boys to 1 girl. And now they're saying it's 1.7 boys to 1 girl, but the girls aren't getting diagnosed until they're 12 years old. So our organization, we're really pushing for all children to get screened for ADHD by 2nd grade.
Okay.
We're collecting ideas about how these people with the inattentive types could have been recognized. They're saying my mind was wandering. I wouldn't always be alert. I sat in the front row, so I'd pay attention. I wouldn't do this back half of a sheet of paper, or I'd do my homework and not turn it in. My desk was always messy. I was losing my possessions. Our feeling is if everyone understood that it's more than physical hyperactivity, there are these other behaviors to watch for, more children will be identified because they're off the bell curve. That someone who knows child development could look and say, this child is not quite like her classmates.
Yeah, that would be great.
That's what I think would make a difference. I think girls inattentive type could be diagnosed earlier. We just have to be better at what we're looking for.
What you said about the main difference in your life would have been a self-esteem issue. You were down on yourself for not doing enough, right? But that's also because you were so driven to do so much.
Yeah.
Well, the saddest things when I talk to women, which I've experienced, is they limited their aspirations in life.
Interesting.
Without their diagnosis, they didn't have as much self-confidence. They couldn't manage much. They made their lives simple enough so they could manage it. That's
Right.
part of the grieving. They said, I could have aspired to medical school if I had known. But it sounds like you're living a kind of a dream in spite of it. I think the
Yeah.
purpose is to be able to live a fulfilling life. And
Mhm.
however you're able to achieve that and not have regrets that you missed out.
Yeah.
Even for me, it's sad to say that there was a part where we didn't have what we wanted.
Yeah. You can't ever really know how if it had been different.
That was
So
my favorite book. It's called The Midnight Library. Woman goes into the library and points in her life she could have made a different choice. So when she gets
Mhm.
into the library, she gets to choose an earlier choice and she gets to live it. She realizes that wasn't such a great choice after all. She lives 4 different lives and then comes back to her own life and she's content.
Wow, I like that.
That's what we always imagine, that if only, but who knows? Who knows
Yeah.
if it would have
I
been
know.
different?
Was there a dream that you gave up along the way?
Oh,
There are things I would be better at my business if I had better skills around the AD. My brain is not the kind of brain that should be running a business. With managing other people and all of the tasks that have to happen, it's
do you know
rough.
that there are people that specialize in being administrative assistants to people that have ADHD?
No, I'd never heard that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
Wow.
also people find ADHD coaching helps them.
Yeah, when I first was diagnosed, I listened to a lot of podcasts. There were things they would say were symptoms of ADHD that I didn't even know were, and were just things I thought were weird about me.
Yes.
Wow. What? Do you remember?
One was handwriting. I have the worst handwriting in the
Huh.
world. I can't be bothered to write. It's too boring. If you look at my report cards all the way through, it'll be straight A's and then it'll be like C- in handwriting. That was one of them. I have a bad habit of picking at my cuticles. When I'm nervous, I will do that. I learned that's a self-soothing. This could be an ADHD.
Another
Oh,
relative?
are you looking at either of your children as possibly having it because it's highly inheritable? Or do you look back at your family of birth and think, am I alone or do I have company?
Yeah. My father passed away a couple years ago. I think some of his unhappiness in life could have something to do with it. He was always changing jobs. He was never happy. He couldn't be in the moment. He'll be doing something. As for my kids, I see interesting traits in both of them. It's a question of my husband and I talking about it and negotiating because he doesn't want to label them or pigeonhole them. I'm not sure he fully believes in ADHD. He's everyone's getting diagnosed. This is crazy. The kids are great. Think maybe they could be even better, more great if we just make sure if one or both do, then we can give them some tools that I didn't have.
A place to start might be to talk with the teachers because parents only have a child or two and they can't really see the child in a structured situation. If you talk to the teacher and they're with all day long, you can find out, how does my child compare to other children in the classroom? Do you have any concerns about their ability to pay attention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that would be.
appreciate your sharing.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's so nice to talk with both of you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good luck with everything.
Yeah.
This has been a production of Inattentive ADHD Coalition. Check us out at iadhd.org and see how you can help us by donating or by spreading awareness about inattentive ADHD. Thank you.